Hello. I'd say welcome. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. I'm going to give people a few minutes if you're going to come in. Come in. I'm catching up on the news right now because I finally finished cooking my Thanksgiving dinner. I will be posting a pic on the community page once I put anything out. The duck is on its last leg right now. So once I hit the minute mark, we'll start our discussion. Okay, the we have hit the minute mark. I'm hoping, let me see. I'm checking my sound right now. My sound looks good. So, right now we don't have anybody attending. So, if you catch this at a later date, today is November 28th, 2024. Happy Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people might be cooking. A lot of people might be preparing their food in the kitchen. The kids are driving you crazy if you have kids around. Where's my music? I'm sorry, I'm looking for my music so I could have some background. Now, you won't hear the music. The music is for me. So, all right. Again, welcome to my Thanksgiving live stream. This live stream is basically focused on those who don't have a chance to go out and don't have family to see. You might be too far. There's different circumstances for anything, or you may not just be in a mindset to go partake in the holiday. Although I'm hoping after this live broadcast, you might change your mind if you could make it there. Now, this is part of my Buddy Check live stream. So, and I did say my last live stream that I was going to start every live stream with the Serenity Prayer. Now, this is not meant to be religious, but it's to help put you in a mindset of a different perspective. So, I'm going to start with this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Those who participate in AA, going through rehab, going through any type of, how can I say, rehabilitation, is quite familiar with this prayer. And I actually think today is a beautiful day to be reminded of that. Now, like I said, this is not meant to focus on any particular denomination, um, because faith does help us get through the hardest times. I actually was catching a podcast. I was watching Tim Pool earlier today, and Tim Pool, if you're unfamiliar with him, he is an atheist and quite knowledgeable. And he made me realize that even you don't have to be religious to understand that faith does play a part in our life and other things. But I'm going to refocus. So today is Thanksgiving. Now, those of you who may have seen my past live streams, seen my past videos, know that I am first generation American. So Thanksgiving, back where my parents are from, is not a holiday that we celebrate. It is a controversial holiday. I'm not going to get into that too much, but for some, this is a day of gratitude, which is something that a lot of people tend to forget. Gratitude that you could sit, break bread, even with those that you may not agree with their stance on different things. This year seems to be a big theme in America. But gratitude that you woke up today, gratitude that you're able to sit at a table and eat, whether you're sitting alone or not. Um, Gratitude that although you may not be partaking in any particular Thanksgiving dinner, you may be going to your friend's house to watch the football game. If you don't go to Thanksgiving dinner, I would suggest doing that. I don't know who's playing today. I didn't take a look. Um, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan and a Jets fan, so you know where I stand with that. If you're into football, you know. Um, so I wanted to do this live, this impromptu live today, because I don't think this is the beginning of one of the loneliest seasons. And I feel that people should not feel lonely during this time of year. Um, yes, we have the nostalgia of when we were young and when we used to play around and everybody was there, people came by. And as you got older, either you fell out of that habit, you got too busy to nurture those friendships. I'm also ex military, hence why I do buddy check. And I have to admit, and I have to share this. I mean, those who go out in the field that are in zones where, you know, there's constant, it's hostile, hazard duty. When for hazard duty, you're going to have the makeshift dinner tonight. And don't forget to thank the cooks. Because let me tell you, I remember and I realized how I should have thanked them a whole lot more when I was in the service. But you're going to have that dinner. But for those of us that are veterans, sometimes it's a little hard. It's hard to connect. It's hard. Um, and when you're in the service, and I'm not telling you anything new, when you're in the service, you miss the connection from your family because you are away from your family. Very few people are blessed to be stationed close to home. I'm from New York City, so no, that I was not one of those that were blessed. But I was 3 hours away. That was the closest I was to home. So I know some people take that trip. Actually, currently it's raining, so if you got to go out there and you're in the New York City area, bundle up, bring an umbrella, and be careful out there. If you're driving from a different post and you're coming to New York, keep in mind, be safe, safe travels. Don't drive too fast. I understand because I watch the weather guy on YouTube also that in the Midwest, in the center of the country, northern part mostly, there's a cold front coming through. So I think it's Interstate 81 or 80. Be very careful. Watch out for black ice. But I go back to my story. I have no script today, so it's going to be a little bit off hinge. Oh, those of you who come over on YouTube, you could find me on, let me see if I could put the link in. I'm going to try to put the link in here. If you want to come in and join the conversation, because I always welcome it, I am on Spaces. So let me see if I could get a link here for you. Got disconnected. There we go. Reconnect. All right, I am back on Spaces. There's no one there. Feel free. I just put the link in the chat. Feel free to click on the link and hop in if you want to share a Thanksgiving memory. But as I was saying, so when you leave the service, depending on where you settle, when you leave college, if you choose not to stay in the area you continued your education and you decided not to go home, that's another issue. You may be in a completely new place and you're just out of sorts. This is a financially hard time for most, and I am just going to have to put you on pause for one moment. My apologies. I actually forgot that I had one more thing on the stove and I heard it boiling over and I had to take care of that. So you may not have like the funds to go back home or go over to a friend's house. I always open my house up to friends. Uh, should they have nowhere to go? And I'm an older woman, so most of my friends they are younger, so they have significant others now, so they're able to have a Thanksgiving with other people. But if you are a spiritual person, if you are a praying person, uh, I always ask you to keep those who are unfortunate in your prayers, in your thoughts, well wishes to them, because we have a lot of veterans, a lot of homeless who on this day and on this ugly looking day actually in the rain, and they don't have anywhere to go, and some of them don't even have a place to go to have a nice warm meal. So keep them in mind. Now, there is a reason why I brought this up. I brought this up because as a veteran, I'm prone to PTSD, depression, and everything else. It's a battle that all of us go through. Most people don't talk about it because they're ashamed about it. But there are times where I feel low. Like I was saying earlier, this is a time of season where it really hits. It is a diagnosis, I do believe. I have to look that up. It during the holiday season, and as the nights are longer, people suffer from. But someone once told me, and I always try to remember this when I think I'm down and out, that there's always someone who has it worse than you. Um, Hence, I go back to the gratitude. This is where the gratitude falls into Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday of gratitude. And I know that most people have the tradition before dinner, they sit around and each person say one thing that they're grateful for. Well, you could make a meal. I'm by myself today. Um, Although I could go to my mom's house, I am still suffering from a cold. And unfortunately, my significant other is busy working today. So we don't get to spend the holiday together. But that didn't stop me. I don't make turkey, I make duck for Thanksgiving. So I made my duck, made my mixed vegetables, my cornbread, my dinner rolls. I made pate, which part of this page is city homesteading, which as I perfect these recipes, I will share. I haven't perfected them, so I will not put you through that misery. Um, Once I perfect the recipes and I show pictures, which I do on Instagram under Judy Mange, um, and I will add the links to the comments later on. I'm not going to disturb this live and try to search it out and add the links. But gratitude is one of the things to remember. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to make a meal that probably tomorrow or Saturday I'm going to make into a nice soup. I'm going to make nice stir fry, not stir fry, uh, egg rolls out of what's left over. And as this page grow, if you're interested in city homesteading, because you don't need a whole plot of land. I live in a studio apartment. So, and I do a lot of canning and stuff like that. So that'll be part of it. It's the gratitude of having the ability to have that meal. Now, another thing that has been, I think, the last 20 years. Yeah, I think about 20 years ago, restaurants do open their doors. So you don't have to have a meal alone. You could go out if you could afford it and go to a restaurant and have a dinner. You may be on a table by yourself, but you're in a space with other people. Um, I encourage this because isolation, especially during this time of year, is not such a good thing. Um, I'm sorry. So the phone does go off. So that's another key thing. Now that's this is the part that now that's the part of the holiday that most people celebrate. But I also ask you to consider the other half, which is the indigenous people here. Uh, I'm equal with everybody, and everybody's voice deserves to be heard. And then, for most indigenous people, from what was told to me, is that this is also a day of mourning for them because they did go through some hard times shortly after Thanksgiving. Um, I am not too, how can I say, I don't know that history very well. I hopefully by next year, I will get around to doing research and finding that out. Now, that's enough of the sad part of the holiday, and we want to cheer things up during this um, time of being alone. Either you're at work, either you're home alone, or you're trying to decide what to do. One, so I'm just gonna throw some suggestions since I have no one sharing the chat with me on X. Um, I'm just going to throw some suggestions to get you through this. I would say one of the good habits to do is to rest. We have the iconic Thanksgiving Day parade happening right now. Um, and I have to say, as a native New Yorker, as a native New Yorker and someone who was born and raised here, I have never gone and saw it, but I used to watch it on television. If you don't, like most people don't subscribe to the channels or cable TV, I'm sure someone is live streaming it on YouTube somewhere. Parades aren't my thing. I don't have kids. Um, One of the things I would like to do, and I might do it next year, I'm glad I didn't do it this year with the cold and the weather. I'd like to go see them blow up the balloons. I think that would be an awesome thing to do. A wonderful tradition, just like football and turkey and stuffing on Thanksgiving. I actually woke up early today so I could cook, so I could do this. I wanted to time this live so I didn't interrupt people's football time because I know football is so important. But I also wanted to do it and have food. So after this, I get to eat. So I think I explained what I did. I did mixed vegetables. That's what I had to run and take care of. Um, but as you think about, let's go back to the being thankful part. As you're thinking about what to be thankful about, what people tend to forget, and this is something that I think if you bring into a habit will bring hope to your heart, is not only, and it does go back to the serenity prayer, believe it or not, is you, when you go and you say, I'm thankful for this. I have a video coming out talking about keeping a daily gratitude journal. It'll probably come out in a couple of weeks. But if you look at what you're grateful for, the next question that you should ask yourself is, where can I go from here? How can I build on this? Because your gratitude is your foundation. Keep in mind, yes, we don't have the Thanksgiving. You may not be experiencing the Thanksgiving of your youth, or you may be experiencing a Thanksgiving for the first time. I remember when I was younger, um, all of us kids, me and my cousins, we did not like Thanksgiving too much because everything was closed. I mean, even McDonald's. We couldn't even go to McDonald's on Thanksgiving. Um, there was no restaurants open. You couldn't go to a Chinese restaurant. Was diners? No, there was no diners near us. So diners were an option. The bodega closed early, so if you wanted to get anything from the bodega, you had to get it real quick. They weren't 24 hours like they are now. Um, so we didn't like it too much because we didn't have anything to do as kids. Now, I look back at that, and that was time I could have spent growing on what I was thankful for. I was thankful for my family. Instead of running around complaining about, oh, I can't get this, I can't get that, I want to do that. And yes, I know your thought. Why would you want to go to McDonald's on Thanksgiving? It had two purposes. One, food wasn't going to be ready till around 6 o'clock at night. And now we're looking at noon. So we were kids. Kids are always hungry. Two, we were in a house full of adults and there was nowhere to go. It wasn't summer. Remember, I said New York. So if it wasn't raining, it was cold outside. So playing outside was not an option. Now, I grew up in the 80s. I'm Generation X. I have to put that disclaimer out there. So you were stuck in a house with a bunch of adults. The men were in the living room drinking and smoking and talking adult talk. For those of you who come across this and don't understand what I mean, when I was growing up, when the adults were having discussions, children were not to be anywhere near that and had no involvement in that. It was respect, something that I'm starting to notice in this world people don't understand the definition of. And the women were in the kitchen cooking and gossiping. Um, let's just be honest, that's what they were doing. So if you were too young to help with the cooking and the gossiping, you were supposed to be somewhere out of sight, out of mind, not making too much noise. So going to McDonald's or going out trying to find something to do was difficult. But there were plenty of things to do. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you read a good book? I'm an avid reader. I have a nice library, growing library on different topics, but just read something casual. I guess I'm not a big fan of this, although I used to be an addict. When's the last time you picked up a video game and played a decent video game? Or I have one better than that. When's the last time you picked up a hobby? This is how you could grow in your gratitude. I did just stop myself from going on a little tyrant on hobbies, but um, you wake up in the morning, you have the ability to learn, you have the ability to grow. Um, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, these are milestones of the holidays. But there are like so many other days that are so beautiful and you wake up to. You wake up today and you make it out of it what you can. Um I have to share a wonderful story from last year. Last year, I think, yeah, it was my first year in this location. Unfortunately, I'm a person who moves around a lot, and I have to say, the fact that I have spent this is my second Thanksgiving at this location is a big feat for me. So I guess I'm thankful for that I was able to stay in a location for as long as I have. Um, Last year I was going to make a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner for my significant other, my boyfriend. And I went to the store. I had to run to the store the day before, and unfortunately, I don't have a vehicle, so I had to take the bus. And the bus that goes near me don't run on holidays and weekends. So I had to go. I didn't realize the bus that takes me to my house stopped would have stopped running before I left. So, but that's not the part of the story. That could have been far worse if what I'm about to share with you did not occur. I was at I bought everything I needed. Um, I had the duck already, but I needed a lot of other stuff that I wanted to make. Honestly, I was making too much food for just two people. I'm just going to be honest. And I've learned not to do that anymore. Uh, so it turned out that I ended up short. And I had to ask the lady who was ringing me up to take things out. The most embarrassing thing that could ever happen to anyone at a supermarket. And out of the blue, this guy, I don't know if he was behind me or if he was on the register right next to me, paid my balance. Now, mind you, I'm a very emotional person. As if you're a veteran, you could understand. You're very emotional. Any little thing, I am turning. I realize I'm turning into that person, that old person, the geezer who sits on the porch and go, "Stay off my lawn." I'm becoming that person, and I was not in a good mood at that point. I was frustrated, and this was the point where I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just done." And this guy did this for me, and I have never been so humble and so thankful. I still remember his face, and this is a year and a day past that. And if I run into him into the street, I can't say thank you enough. And this is over a year ago. I share this story, one, because I want to show you how you could be humble and you could be taken out of a place where you could be very angry and annoyed and full of rage, where something could just take you out of that. That's one. Two, this was a person who was there because he had twice as much groceries as me. Mind you, he probably had a car. I had to carry this on the bus. Um, so, and he was probably buying for his family, getting stuff that, his wife or significant other or his mom, whoever was doing the cooking or he was doing the cooking, had to get. He didn't ask me. He didn't skip a beat, and he was in a better place in life where he could help me out. Not knowing me, didn't know me from Adam. And I tell you, I was saying thank you all the way out that supermarket. And up until recently, I carried that. I say this in saying, yes, you may not be with somebody that you want to be with during this holiday season. You may not see people that you want to see during this holiday season. The people you want to see and the people you love may even piss you off this holiday season. One, don't stew in it. Two, there's always something that you could do to help somebody who's in a worse position than you. Selflessness. And I think that's what most of us tend to forget. Like I said, I open my house I open it up to people who either can't make it to their family members or their loved ones, their friends. This year, it's not happening. Everybody has something to do. No problem. I make a meal. That's fine. Um, I choose to spend it with you. Granted, it's a one-way conversation, but it's you have a gift. You have a gift that you were born with. You have a gift that you carry with you. And sometimes we get in our own way and we don't see the gift and we don't know how to share it. Maybe you should contemplate how you could share your gift. Your gift is how you grow on your gratitude. Your gift is what makes you you. Your gift is why the people you meet in your life have come into your life. Not everybody is forever, though. Just to remember, sometimes people are here for a season. So we have lost friends. Let me rephrase that. When I say lost friends, I mean they've gone in a different path. I know I've lost friends, and I'm sure plenty of people, especially my age, have lost friends too. But people are here for a season, and you thank them for the time that they spent in your life and the gift that they've given you, because their time is a gift. Your time is a gift. Your time with someone is a gift. Your time watching this video for me is a gift. Your time watching other videos is a gift. Your time cooking is a gift. Sharing a meal, sharing a drink, sharing a smoke, sharing. I tell you what, I have to share. This is more recent. Yesterday, I take the subway partly home, and as everybody knows, the day before Thanksgiving is the worst traveling day. And I had to work yesterday. So I worked a full day. I was already frustrated for the week, personal issues. And so I was not in a good mood. I didn't get a seat, which on the train, people don't, people get the seats when they can. And unless you look elderly or you look like you're in pain, they won't give up a seat for you. Well, sometimes they don't even give up a seat for you if you look pregnant, but that's beside the point. I do live in New York. So, um, so I had to stand up. I had my backpack. I was not taking it off. Um, and there was a woman who put herself behind me, and she kept hitting my bag, which was annoying me, and I was really trying not to get upset. Um, which I was annoyed by the time I got to my train and I got off my train. And the same thing as it was almost, yeah, a year. I was frustrated. I was annoyed. I was not in a good mood. And I walked up, and there is a wonderful security guard who works at the same building I do. And sometimes we take the same train, but we just never are, we're never in the same car. He travels with his people, and I like to travel alone because I like to listen to what I listen to on the train. And as I'm walking up, it turns out we happen to be on the same train. And he touched me, and remember, I was very, very upset. Serenity prayer. And he touched me, and I looked and I saw him, and I know I lit up. You know when you light up. You light up when you see someone that puts you in that good mood. And I said Happy Thanksgiving. He said Happy Thanksgiving. And from that moment on till this moment, I felt a good feeling. I felt happy. I felt rejoiced. I felt like you have to control your emotions. No, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. And I have to keep my phone from distracting me. It's not control your emotions. It's that you have to be aware. You have to be mindful. Um, I suggest you be mindful, especially now, especially if you're home. Right now, I'm sitting here. I didn't have to do this live. I didn't have to come on here. I didn't have to cook a full meal that's going to turn into an awesome duck soup. When I put that together, I'll share the recipe too. An awesome duck soup, an awesome duck egg roll. I didn't have to do that. I could have sat and boohoo. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that today. I don't want you to do that all the way through New Year's. What I suggest you do is find that moment. That moment's there. That happy Thanksgiving, that touched that person that was ready to probably blow up, because us New Yorkers have a short fuse and we don't care. And we'll tell people to F off if in a heartbeat. Um, that interaction changed my mood to the point where I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't have coffee today, surprisingly enough. Made my eggnog, made my fresh bread dinner roll, made my pate, made my stuffing, made my duck, made my mixed vegetables. I made my dessert yesterday. I made ambrosia without the fruit cocktail. I'm just not a fan of fruit cocktail. I just don't like it. Maybe if I could find, hey, if you happen to know a good canning recipe for fruit cocktail, I might actually try it and might actually feature it. And I will give you full credit. So if you know a good recipe that's not from a can, because uh, um, my heritage does not support too much canned food, so uh, and it's fresh ingredients, I'll try it out. But I made ambrosia yesterday. I made chocolate chip, no, not chocolate chip, chocolate muffins last week, which is mm, I don't know if it's gonna make it today. I don't know if it's gonna make it through the day. But I'm hoping during this discussion you're starting to get into a better mood. Just because you don't have the people to share doesn't mean you don't go down that road of sharing that meal with yourself. I think that's where the depression hits. That's where the winter blues hits. There is a name for it. It's not winter blues, but there's another thing they call it. Um, that they call it. But and I have to admit, I do see I have people that are watching. This is not my normal format for Buddy Check, but this is my way of trying to bring a little bit holiday cheer. Um, if you don't mind, since this is a one-way conversation and no one's participating in the chat or in the live, I'm just going to keep talking till somebody decides they want to help help out or interject. I'm going to share one of my pre-military memories from when I was a kid. I have to say pre-military because I am the oldest out of 8 kids. And I was in the service when most of my younger siblings were growing up. Me and my sister, who were 2 years apart, me and my sister, who's right behind me, is 2 years apart. So we had the privilege of creating a tradition. We created the holiday traditions, which after 8 years in the service, the younger ones took over. Yeah, my ego took a little bit of a hit on that one, but you know what? To each their own. I wasn't around, and they got to do what they felt in their hearts. And for that, I love each one of them. Um, Dominic, David, Jackie, Kenya, Yannick, Mackie Boy, and Nathaniel. If you guys come across this, I love you and happy holidays. Yes, those were all my siblings and not in the order that they fall in. But when I was home, what we used to do is my mom would wake up in the crack of dawn like I did today. She spent the day before preparing all the foods, seasoning the turkey that was thawing out for a week, um, getting everything seasoned for the pumpkin pie. We call it bread pate, pan patat, but it is a pumpkin pie without the pie crust. And it's funny because my boyfriend recently shared his recipe with pumpkin pie, and I'm going to let you know. Across the continental, across the continents, pumpkin pie tastes the same. It tastes the same. It's um my boyfriend made it closer to how we make it in Haiti, and the only difference is the American version, which has the pie crust. So pumpkin pie is pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie, which is the same exact thing. And I'm going to get back to my story, but I remember walking into a Starbucks when I worked in Midtown, um, and and the baristas was having an argument because it was pumpkin season, and I guess the person was from the South here in and they were up working up here in New York, and they were talking about um, sweet potato pie versus pumpkin pie. And I was like, but isn't pumpkin pie made with sweet potatoes or isn't it the same thing? Same thing. And what was it? What's that meme? Prove me different. The challenge is out there. Um, so we would my mom would my mom, my grandma, when my grandmother was alive, and any older women who were staying with us at the time would get up with my mom and they start the whole prepping and getting the cooking process done. Then we would wake up. Now, part of the cooking process was to make a huge breakfast for us kids. So if you have kids, or you know someone who have kids, this might help. The huge breakfast part was to get our bellies filled enough where we would go either watch the parade, go watch cartoons, go play video games, so we could be busy till at least around 12. And it did work because it did last till around 12, 1 o'clock. Watching football was not a thing unless it was soccer, was not a thing in our household. So watching a football game was not a distraction in my household. And the men would get up, and their jobs were, and when I say the men, this also included the two boys, because Mackie wasn't with us at the time. The two boys and my dad and any other males in the house, their job was to make last minute runs to the supermarket before it closed for anything that the women forgot. And then after that, it was, I don't even know what they did. They went and hid till everybody started coming to the house. And then we had dinner. And right after dinner, okay, if you are not Generation X or older, you may not understand this concept I'm saying. Is that what we used to do? We had a cassette. Now, this cassette tape was put together by us kids years ago. I honestly think it was one of my uncles who worked in the music business that put this together. So it would start off with Lionel Richie, All Night Long, Dancing in the Ceiling. We used to have the song Gloria, Gloria, Gloria. And then that we had like a few songs like that. Those are the songs we grew up with that were our parents considered children safe. And then it would go into the Christmas music, which was a montage of French Christmas music, because my mom loved French music, and American Christmas music. And during this time was when my dad, oh yes, now I remember what the men were doing. My dad was taking out the Christmas tree. We did not deck out the house. We did not grow up with decking out the house with a whole bunch of, I tell you what, going into the service and intermingling with other Americans, I found out how people really decorate. And what my parents did was nothing compared to the beauty I see people do. The decoration of Christmas was a Christmas tree for us. It was not a real Christmas tree. We didn't understand that concept of having a real tree, which is something I miss, and I don't have the room for. Maybe I'll figure it out. But we put the Christmas tree, we decorated the Christmas tree, and it was holiday season. This is another thing you could think about doing, is actually putting up a Christmas tree during this season. When I lived in Long Island, and I did live by myself, and me and my parents were on the outs, I did do that. And that's when I discovered live Christmas trees. And for those who are new to this country, and are getting into the tradition of the American tradition, I would suggest that, because there's nothing that makes the house smell better. There's nothing that reminds you, because you have to take care of it. You have to have a bowl underneath with water, so you could constantly water the tree, because the minute that my mom was afraid of, I found out later on that when I got older and I had a discussion with her, my mom was afraid of live Christmas trees because of fires. My mom was not informed, nor did she understand that fires occur when you let the tree get dry. So if you're going the live Christmas tree route, watch out for that. I think, I'm not sure, I think they're putting up, I think the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center, if you're in the New York City area and you want to check out something, might be going on, bring an umbrella. I think the lighting of the Christmas tree is going. I went not last year, the year before last, and was highly disappointed, which I could understand because there's a lot of agriculturally, we have a lot of issues going on there. So I could understand why that tree was a little shabby, to say the least. So that's another option. Create your own tradition. Now, I hope that this helps bring a little joy to your heart and remind you of what to be happy about. Um, my sister and the one right behind me. I always say my sister, but I always refer to her, when I say my sister, I'm usually talking about the one right behind me because we basically spent most of our lives together. She moved to Canada, so their Thanksgiving is not today. Fun fact: Canada celebrates their Thanksgiving in October. Don't know the history. I don't live there. This is the history I want to know, American history. But I understand that the holidays is hard, especially for those who served, those of us who are used to the buddy system, those of us who are used to people just checking in on us. Fortunately, my significant other is ex military. I actually, coincidentally, I could say the universe is a wonderful place. It sets you up in wonderful ways. Um, the person who lives across from me is ex military. So we bond on that. Sometimes bonding with not even people you served with, but people that have served even at a different time. You could share a bond with them. You could have that discussion with them. Um, they can relate in a better way. I do apologize if you hear a train. I do live near the train tracks, and although it's not as frequent as normal, and I needed to get some air going through here, it is a bit loud. So I've shared my memories, and I'm hoping this helps you go down memory lane. Uh, if you are not from here and this is your first Thanksgiving, um, maybe I could help you along where my parents were helped along with us kids because our, like I said, where my parents came from, there was no such thing as Thanksgiving. So that was a holiday that was new to them. Thanksgiving dinner, time for family, time for arguments and disagreements, time for friends, times for gratitude, time for introspection. You get, I'm over the gluttony part of it, hence why I already know part of my food is going to go to a soup. But it is a gluttonous time. Everybody makes, it's like one of the three holidays where in American tradition, people go all out and make way too much food. Those holidays are Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. For Thanksgiving, traditionally, people have stuffing. Stovetop is your friend if you don't know how to make stuffing. Um, but I'm working on a homemade stuffing recipe. So I will be posting that on the city homesteading part. Um, Traditionally is turkey. My tradition is duck. Some people have ham. I find this a little bit overboard. Dinner rolls. You have some people make green bean casserole. I never understand the purpose of that. So if you know that, hey, drop a line. I'll be more than happy to understand that tradition as well. Um, we don't eat rice for the holiday, but well, for Haitians, you'll find it. We eat rice with everything. I'm surprised we're not bigger than we are. Um, Dinner rolls. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, cranberry sauce. Still trying to understand the purpose of that too. Again, drop a line if you could explain to me why, because I don't see a purpose for it. Of course, gravy. You gotta have gravy. And I think, from my understanding, that's about it. It was supposed to be the plentiful from the land. Um, I had to stop myself from making pasta. Oh, there's usually a pasta dish, at least on my family's table. Um, like a pasta casserole type deal. And fish. Never understood that one either. But I guess you're supposed to eat from the harvest, which, living in the city, we don't have that type of tradition, so they stuck to the old tradition that they used to have. So I would suggest, and let me see, I have to edit in about maybe 4 weeks. My journaling video is gonna drop, and part of that journaling is the gratitude one. But if you want to, because my what I suggest in that particular video is the type of journaling that works for me. But maybe you want to grab a composition book, grab a journal book, grab an empty, free flowing book, or some people with the tech, I don't trust it too much, but with the tech, iPhone has a journal app. Journal your feelings, or better yet, I have a record player. I can't play none of my music because I don't have the rights to them. Sorry. Um, if you have a record player, turn on the record. If you have a cassette player, which I don't, do I? Oh, actually, I do. I have a cassette player. If you still have cassettes, throw the cassette in. Go down memory lane. If you've got pics, check your pics out. Listen, you woke up this morning. It's Thanksgiving. And when you wake up in the morning, any morning, not just this morning, every morning you wake up, you have to know you woke up with love in your heart, breath in your lungs, and a clean slate ahead of you. Anything is possible. You could do anything you want to do. You could make it into anything you can make the day anything you want. I'm going to read this chat from Lou. And it's Corinthians 3:15. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. Wow. That's dead on. And actually with that one, that's actually a beautiful quote, and I think that's a beautiful quote for you to meditate on. Now, there are different quotes, and feel free to share. But this one is actually beautiful. And it's perfect to the message of today. You are worthy. You are loved. You are loved. And we are grateful that you are here today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving. And You know who that's for. And I think I'm going to read that quote one more time to take us out. So you could just keep in mind where you are. It's Corinthians 3, chapter 3, verse 15. And let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. And be thankful for everything. Thankful for your past, thankful for your present, and thankful for the blessings of the future you will receive. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll catch you on the next one, which will be on December 22nd for the regular Buddy Check.